them with a tighter clasp. Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my the less gone. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from a pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? make this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one
Nightmare
from a
and
perilous
Squidville.
wave is all.
Apparently, if you watch the prelude, it just
Hey,
sends you to-
SpongeBob, wake up. We must find Squidward. It's already dark.
Oh, I must have fallen asleep.
Hey,
Let us knock on some doors to find out where he is.
I don't even think they could get the actual voice actors. Oh, lag there for a second. Why do they all look like Squidward's house?
Hello, have you seen Squidward?
Very good. Let me check something real quick. Because that is. Alright, now I'm all good. Where's Patrick? Oh, Patrick's over there.
Where is everybody?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Patrick. Maybe they're over there. I feel like I have a need to just do this.
Did you hear this?
What? I think we could just walk away. I don't know, just try to see if Patrick can say anything.
Do you remember that crazy flying guy with a leaf blower?
Yes.
Well, I guess he crashed.
So we're just getting.
Patrick, where are you?
Wait, where did Patrick go? I'm pretty sure he was just there.
Nobody opens. That does not seem to work.
Okay, so what did I do? Just continue? Yeah, I don't see any other way. What's this? Oh, there's Patrick.
Patrick, where have you been?
I was just looking for something to eat. Sorry.
Now, wait, why did you knock on the vending machine? Patrick went away with that little chubby little girl. Oops. Is there a point in knocking anymore? I don't think it really does anything. Like I see it more things just not knocking than I do. There's Squidward. Hey Squidward. Wasn't he just in there? Wait, how was SpongeBob be able to drown? How did he drown? What was that thing? How is he driving perfectly? It doesn't make any sense. Something's not right about this. He shouldn't be able to drive this well. Where's a blue light at? What is that? Is that? What is that? Deer? No, it's not possible. It can't be deer. I think I just go over here. See any trouble with that? Patrick? Yeah, we're just bad. Yeah, we're just bad food. I do feel like I just saw Squidward. It wasn't that one. I think it was this one. Maybe I just need to cruise around until I find him. here. He will appear, and when he does, we will get him, Patrick. We will find him. What is that thing? Yeah, it's a bicycle. You see what I'm seeing? What is it? Elephants. Spirits are leaves, mushrooms. I know the sayings are too. Why is this locked? This weird. I think I found.
Okay, Patrick, go to that other switch.
Patrick, you're supposed to go to this switch. Oh, okay.
Maybe we must press the button at the same time.
Let me count and press when I say so. 4, 7, 12. Whoa. What comes next? No. No, I was not ready. Let me count and press when I say so. 4, 7, 12. Whoa. What comes next? No.
No.
No, I was not
He
ready.
said now.
Let me count and press when I say so. 4, 7, 12. Whoa. What comes next? No.
Is he doing anything? I don't see him doing anything. Patrick, are you doing something?
No, I was not ready.
I think before
Let me
he says
count and press
no.
when I say so. 4, 7, 12. Whoa. What comes next? No.
Okay. There's
There's
Patrick.
Squidward.
Squidward. Sorry.
Squidward, we have been looking for you all day.
Hi, Squidward. Why are you in a cage?
SpongeBob, Patrick, I am happy to see you, really. Would you be so kind and help me out? The Tentacle Acres is a trap. They know me here. They are cannibals. They have eaten the other ones. I am next. I tried to fly away with a leaf blower, but I crashed. So they knocked me out and threw me in a cage. And the key must be somewhere near here. Maybe you see them gather at the park?
Please hang in there. We see what we can do. Either we find the key or there is another way.
Yes.
Okay, so we're supposed to, Oh yeah, Patrick's here. Let's go. Let's go, Patrick.
Rev over them.
Wait, Good. I think I see the key. Patrick,
What is
that-
this, What is this, Patrick? What is this, Patrick? This does not look good.
Yeah, wait, what? What's going on? Honestly, they said there's supposed to be a key in the park, right? I don't see anything, Patrick. I don't really see anything. Oh, there he is.
Yippee! I got the key.
You sure did. Let's go, Patrick. feels nice being with me and Patrick and Welcome, Squid.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought I would die today. Now let's get us out of this place.
Are you sure? Oh, Patrick and... Oh, and are we even supposed to have the car at this point? Because this feels kind of empowering. Alright, where are we supposed to go now? Wait, were we there? Were we there before?
SpongeBob, get us out of here.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Was that thing alive? I really liked it. You can't defeat me.
There aren't too many.
We sure are. Is he still chasing us? So we're supposed to go. Wait, are we just going around this circle?
Crash from the side fast.
What is this place?
Oh, hell's rising.
Oh no. Do you see this in front of us? Come on. We get through this nightmare.
I'm not even sure what it is.
You need to move.
Round that. We can't go yet. We are trapped inside a dream. Clear Squidville of the demons to break the spell.
I have the burning leaf blower. Let's claim this place.
No, not anymore. Stupid. You think you can stop? Pathetic.
I need to find more fuel.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, I need more fuel. Which is, yeah, pretty sure there's are they still I can't see them. I'll just take a look over here. Maybe they're not even close to this. Yeah, what happened to this? There's fuel here. There's not fuel here. Oh no. Fuel here. it lagging so much? It's like it wants to How is this? Ooh, making me. There's so many. My body can barely breathe. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. It's making me lag. I can barely do anything. That's how bad it is. It's like the whole game's lagging. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, I can't feel my leggings. Oh dear. Oh my. Oh dear. Oh dear. Even the music is glitching. Oh dear. There's too many. At least I can walk again. That's good. I wasn't able to walk before, now I can walk. That's good. Alright, time to die. Holy moly. Holy moly. Oh no. There's too many. No wonder the game almost crashed. That was big. Oh no. I need to run. Run. There's way too many. Oh no. There's too much. There's too much going on. No. There's too much. Oh no. Is that it? Did I kill them all? I think I killed them all. I don't see anymore. Yeah, I actually don't see any. I actually think I killed all of them. Or maybe there's like a few left. And they're stuck somewhere. I'm pretty sure I killed like a majority of them. I almost died a few times because the game lagged with some where it kept spawning in so many. I don't know, am I missing any? I don't really see anybody. Maybe I'm supposed to go back to the cage, or where they freed Squidward in the cage. Maybe we need to do something there. You never know. I'm pretty sure it's a cage, right? Yeah. Nope, that's not it. Okay. I guess I'll just continue from here. Oh no. Why did I hear so many? I heard them in the distance. I don't even know where they're at. Where are they? I heard them. Maybe they're over there. It's entirely possible at this point. I heard them. I mean, they're pretty close by, I think. Or I think they just copy and paste the same environment. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this content is really weird. There's not really a lot going on. I don't see anything. Am I supposed to continue? Or is this like the end of the road? I think this might be like the end of the road. I need to find these last few of these things, or whatever they are. They're like little squidwards. Miniature squidwards, flying saucers, squidwards. Yeah, I really do not hear them anymore. Where did they? But what is that thing? That was weird. Where are these guys? I'm actually pretty annoyed. I'm getting a little bit annoyed. I feel like I'm going in a circle, when in reality if they just copy and paste. Did I hear them? I feel like I heard them. Are they underneath the map? Yeah, that's not possible, right? No. Oh, there it is. Hello. Oop. It's one. If I just stand right here, is it possible they could find me and I could kill them that much quicker? Or, well, not really quicker, it would take longer. First that's 1. I don't know how many there are left. I wish there was a counter to see how many enemies were left. Well, I guess that would have probably broke the game entirely. I feel like one little thing could have easily crashed the game in like a few seconds, maybe even a few minutes. It would be crazy. Yeah, that would be insane. Absolutely blimey. Yeah, I actually don't even know what that means, blimey. Like great shot or something like that. I don't know. Spider-Verse seems like, or not Spider-Verse, the one Spider-Man game where they all, like there's 4 Spider-Mans and all collectively in like a universe, and it's like a multiverse. Is that the thing? What is it? What is it? Oh, it's just, okay, it's a PNG. I thought it was coming straight after me. I was a little bit scared there for a second. Imagine I just got jump scared by the little PNG. That would have been very embarrassing in my career. And maybe we'll take a little water break. A little bit of water ASMR for all the thirsty people. Very, very high quality water. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm literally starting to hear them. I hear them. They're somewhere. Maybe if I stay in place, they'll come to me. Alright, SpongeBob, stop. Alright, now we wait it out. They'll come for me. And when they do, we shall attack. Actually, wait, can they even assess me if I'm not even close by? I don't think they can, though. I don't remember. Oh, I can't jump either. Oh, I was upset. I hear the little shrieks, but I don't see them anywhere. Do you guys see the little floating squids? Or apparently Squidward is an octopus, which is very weird. But when you think about it, yeah, apparently he is a octopus. Super weird, but I guess octopus word wouldn't work. Octopus word, yeah, it wouldn't work. So they went with Squidward. Squidward, tentacles. There's so many SpongeBob horror games. There's like 2 FNAF fan games about it. I think it was like a Krusty Krab and a Chum Bucket. Chum Bucket's the one with the super muscular, deadly guys. And Chum Bucket's like the little miniature ones. Or less threatening ones, I would say. And there's Maybe there's another one, I'm not sure. And I think there's a few others that I also haven't checked out. There's one I think where Squidward's going crazy, I think. And we see SpongeBob and Patrick get mutilated. I don't know, I haven't seen anything about that. That was weird. I've been live streaming for an hour. Has it been an hour? I don't think it's been an hour. There's no way I've been walking around for 40 minutes trying to find the last few enemies left. Yeah, I heard the shrieks, now they're not there anymore. I don't know what's going on. It would have been much easier if I had a car. I feel like I've walked the same place like millions of times, talking about who knows what and who knows where. Markiplier. Alright, Markiplier. What's the Nightmare in the Cave? That's a weird name. Apparently he played this like a month ago. There was one called Sinister Squidward. Maybe it's the same. Oops. Or maybe they only come if I had the fire. Wait, I hear them. Hey, why are they over here? Is that why I couldn't hear them? Because they're stuck inside that little plane thing? Maybe if I kill them.
Sleep well, Squidville.
Thank you, SpongeBob. You saved us.
When I was a kid, my dad would leave me alone in various places when he went off to drink. The most frequent of these was a laundromat that happened to be across the street from his favorite local bar. Sometimes he would take me to do the laundry with him, before telling me he had to step out for a few minutes. Dad would give me some quarters for the arcade machine in the back of the laundromat, one of those racing games with an attached steering wheel. To be honest, I kind of liked being left at the laundromat. I didn't have video games at home, and the arcade machine was a nice escape. Anyway, the story isn't about the laundromat, but the fact that I liked that damn game so much might explain why Dad thought Chester's Kid Zone looked like a perfect place to leave me while he drowned his sorrows. I believe I was 8 at the time. I was stuck running errands with my father on a hot summer day, and he drove out to the hardware store located on a strip mall off the highway. The strip mall consisted of 2 long, run-down buildings, which faced each other at a right angle. Among the various businesses these buildings contained, all which had seen better days, was a dive bar at the end of the strip. After we left the store, Dad looked longingly at the bar. He wanted to go in, but he didn't know what to do with me. I watched him reluctantly fight off temptation as we walked to the car. Dad was putting the keys in the ignition when he paused, looking at something in the distance. At the end of one of the buildings, tucked into an easy-to-miss corner of the strip mall, was a set of double doors underneath a cartoon font signage. Chester's Kid Zone. Dad pulled the keys out of the ignition and retrieved his wallet. He said, handing me $3 bills, "Go play some games in the arcade place. I'll come get you in an hour." I'd been to Chuck E. Cheese a few times, and I was sure $3 wouldn't buy enough tokens to play for an hour. I also knew better than to challenge Dad. I walked sheepishly through the double doors as he headed to the far end of the strip mall. I don't remember everything about Chester's Kid Zone, so I won't try to fill in the blanks, but I do remember a few things vividly. The first thing I noticed was that there were no adults in sight, just a handful of other kids. There was a snack counter, but no employees behind it. Kids would wander up to the glass case and retrieve prepackaged snacks and candy before running back out to the arcade floor. I took a pretzel myself, but it was stale. Tokens were dispensed by a machine that took dollar bills. To my surprise, the $3 I brought were more than enough. After I fed it the first dollar, tokens began pouring out. The receptacle where the tokens landed overflowed with gold coins. I stuffed my pockets until they couldn't hold anymore. As I walked away to check out the arcade floor, I heard the clinking of tokens still dropping out. To my 8-year-old eyes, the arcade floor seemed huge, much larger than the building looked from the outside. Unoccupied game machines crisscrossed the floor in a maze-like fashion, kids occasionally scampering between them before disappearing again. The interior of Chester's Kid Zone was bathed in a dark shade of purple. I recall the soles of my sneakers sticking to the carpets as I walked across the arcade. They hadn't been cleaned recently, if ever. In fact, the whole place was dingy. Once or twice I saw a mouse skitter across the floor. Long cracks ran up the walls, which were bare except for a few haphazardly hung photos of Chester, the establishment's mascot. I didn't recognize most of the arcade games. Those I was familiar with had handwritten out-of-order signs taped to their screens. I tried my hand at the others, but found most of them strange and difficult to play. In one game I have a fuzzy memory of, I used a joystick to guide a player character through a never-ending array of hallways. Wolf-like creatures lurked the hallways, chasing the player character. There was no way to fight them off. The machine didn't even have any buttons aside from the joystick. The player character just ran through the virtual hallways until the wolf things caught up and tore him limb from limb. Computer-generated blood eventually splattering the screen, so I couldn't see anything anymore. I've since scoured websites that catalog old arcade games from the era, but I can't seem to find anything about this one. The other children struck me as a bit off. They mostly kept to themselves, playing alone. Then there was the way they dressed. I was raised without much money, and I was painfully aware of what other kids were wearing. From oversized stained t-shirts to torn jeans, The kids at Chester's wore clothing even more ragged than the hand-me-downs I got teased for at school. I bumped into one of the other kids as he darted out from behind a row of gaming machines. A boy about my age, sporting a bowl cut which had grown slightly too long. He seemed nervous. I could tell that behind the mop of hair obscuring his eyes, he was looking at his feet. "I'm Ricky," he said shyly. "Want to play?" I was just glad to have made a friend in the odd place. Ricky and I spent more time playing arcade games than talking. When I asked how long he'd been there, he just shrugged. We'd been playing games for a while when a sound like a tornado siren emanated from the far wall, where an elevated stage sat behind a set of purple curtains. "That means it's showtime," Ricky said. "We have to go watch." Ricky and I, along with every other kid at Chester's, took seats at a set of tables in front of the stage. The curtains opened to reveal a tall animatronic figure I recognized as Chester. Chester was an anthropomorphic mammal, like a badger or weasel. At least I think that's what it was supposed to be. It had various points of articulation, able to rotate its head and body, raise its arms up and down, and move its eyes in various directions. It wore a mechanic's jumpsuit, complete with a name tag. Dark smears that looked like oil stains covered the outfit. The Chester animatronic went on to perform a show, most of which was unremarkable. I only distinctly recall two things. One is a song and dance, in which the animatronic shimmied unnaturally, its mouth flapping open and shut, as a speaker somewhere inside played an off-key jingle.
"Fun, fun, fun at Chester's Kids Zone. Here's your place to escape. Laugh and play at Chester's Kids Zone. You can stay here every day."
The second thing is the end of the performance. After completing its routine, the animatronic clumsily clapped its hands together.
"It's time to pick the special guest."
The animatronic's head swiveled slowly, as if scanning the crowd. Some of the other kids squirmed. Chester's head stopped mid-swivel. It was pointing to a boy who sat alone at a table, a few dozen feet from Ricky and I.
"You're today's special guest."
Chester exclaimed.
"Come on up."
"Me?" the boy whimpered.
"Come on up."
The animatronic repeated, its voice suddenly almost deafening. The boy stood up and walked onto the stage. The animatronic raised its heavy arm, awkwardly. The boy winced, and I saw that it was gripping him by the back of the neck, the way you'd grab a dog by its scruff.
"That's all for today. See you tomorrow."
Chester said pleasantly. The curtains began to draw. The boy on stage was trembling just before the drapes closed fully. A dark stain spread across his pant leg. What's going on? I asked Ricky. I felt uneasy. Just part of the show, he replied. Wanna go play in the tubes? Ricky gestured towards a structure across the building. There was a massive elevated jungle gym with an interconnected set of plastic tubes that snaked across the ceiling. Kids could enter and exit the tubes via the networks of the tall towers, with walls made of netting intended to be climbed, enclosed slides, and even a fire pole. Sure, I said, as I followed Ricky towards the tubes. He turned. Just watch out, he said. There's a weird girl in there sometimes. Ricky and I climbed up and began to crawl through the purple plastic tubes together. Through porthole-like windows, we could see the arcade floor below. The tubes had an unpleasant smell. As I followed Ricky throughout its twists and turns, it got stronger. By the time we approached a sharp curve, the stench was overpowering. Ricky crawled far enough to peek around the curve and started to backpedal. He made a full turn so he was now facing me. She's here, he whispered. I'm going back. Use the fire pole. She can't slide down. Ricky squeezed past me, crawling in the direction we came from. I wondered what so bothered Ricky about this girl. I needed to see for myself. I continued crawling, making sure not to breathe through my nose as I got closer. Finally, I reached the other side of the curve. The plastic tube ended in a circular chamber, several yards ahead. In the chamber was a girl, several years older than me. She was filthy. Her matted hair pooled on the floor of the tube, around a dress so tattered it barely clung to her body. More disturbing, she lacked a single limb. What should have been each arm or leg ended in a rough stump. The fact that she was even able to remain upright was a feat. She hunched low to the ground, chewing frantically on something small and furry, trapped between her arm stumps. Beside her was a putrid pile of what looked like guts and fur. The stack of neatly separated pink tails confirmed that the girl had been eating rats. She didn't know I was there. I began to crawl in reverse slowly, trying to make each knee fall as soft as possible. I'd almost gotten back around the curve when the squeak of my sneaker against plastic echoed throughout the tubes. The girl snapped her head upwards, fixing her wild-eyed gaze on me. Red liquid dribbled down her chin. She snarled. I frantically turned my body to crawl in the other direction. Sensing that I was leaving, she dropped the rat and began to scramble towards me. I crawled madly back through the tubes. I looked back and saw her advancing, in a prone position, much faster than anyone without a single limb should ever be able to crawl. I kept going, navigating bends and forks in the tubes, not knowing if they'd trap me in another dead-end chamber. The whole time, I heard thumping behind me as the girl propelled herself through the tubes. Finally, I came across a tube with a hole in the floor, and a metal bar extending through it. I gripped the fire pole and wrapped my legs around it. Angry, high-pitched shrieking sounded from above as I slid down to ground level. Back on the arcade floor, I looked up at the tubes. The limbless girl glared at me from one of the porthole windows, her eyes burning with rage. I fled, making my way to the front of the establishment, pushing through the double doors. I ran all the way down to the other end of the strip mall, and right into the bar my father was in. I knew I'd get a beating for that later, but that was better than spending another second in Chester's Kid Zone. I never heard a thing about Chester's Kid Zone from anyone again. I passed by the strip mall a few years later, and all that remained was an empty retail space. Until now, I've only thought of Chester's in brief flashes. I guess I don't like to think about it. The memory makes me feel dirty, like Chester's was, and trapped, like I'm still in the tube scrambling to find the exit. The limbless girl thumping just around the bend. But recently I decided I want to know more about Chester's. If nothing else, I wanted to confirm that it was real, and not just a childhood fever dream I convinced myself was true. I asked my father about the day he dropped me off at Chester's Kid Zone, but he didn't know what I was talking about. Not surprising. Dad's lost his memory the same place he's lost everything else, at the bottom of a bottle. I searched online trying to find any information I could about Chester's, but had no luck with either current or historical business listings. I eventually came across a thread in an obscure forum, where a couple of posters referred me vaguely to Chester's. The locations they mentioned, several of them, were nowhere near me, but the general descriptions were accurate. When I pulled the website up again this morning, the thread was gone. The link I'd saved redirected to a 404 page, and that's how I ended up here. At this point, I just want to know that I'm not crazy. To anyone reading this, have you ever been to Chester's Kid Zone?
It's always nice to have someone lend a hand. That's why we started Tractor Supply 85 years ago. No matter what you're starting, the team members at Tractor Supply are
I've been working in maintenance for a few years by the time I got done with college. Mostly just garbage pickup and stuff like that, at apartment complexes my dad was in charge of in central Arizona. Pay was okay, and I got my own little place where I was living with my girlfriend. It was all pretty good on its own right, but I wasn't making too terribly much, and we'd never been able to take a vacation or anything on our own. It was on a Wednesday when I saw an ad in my city newspaper for a pool boy in a little place a few miles out of town for almost twice what I was making doing all the other maintenance work I already was doing. I almost immediately called the number the paper mentioned and was greeted by a calm-sounding man, probably in his mid-40s. When I inquired about the job, he seemed to become even happier, and we set up a meeting time. That Saturday we met at his place. A big open house with lots of windows and all the latest appliances. He seemed to be a pretty nice guy, rich too, obviously. When I asked why he was offering so much just to monitor his pool, he replied that he had just let his last guy go, and his pool always needed surveillance because he had a young daughter and she had lots of friends, that sort of thing. I accepted the job almost instantly, and was gladly up at his place right after my 2-week notice, passed at my dad's. Work was pretty smooth for the first few weeks. My new employer being much more understanding of circumstances than my old man was allowed to be, due to rules and regulations every employee had to follow at his complex. I could go in and cool off when it seemed too hot outside. He always kept his fridge stocked with water. It all seemed exceedingly comfortable. I would occasionally make small talk with the maid. She couldn't speak English very well, But one day when I asked her, she told me the boss was a cosmetic surgeon, obviously a very wealthy one at that. As a personal rule, I'm generally against that kind of stuff and admittedly grimaced at the prospect of working for someone whose money came from boob jobs. Still, he seemed like a nice, settled-in family man, and the pay was good. So I let it be. About 2 months in, I was clearing some sand and other sorts of residue out of the bottom of the pool, faintly hearing the sound of a piano inside. The doc's window was wide open, and he was overseeing his daughter practicing. I tried not to snoop, but work was taking longer than expected, and the music was pleasant until it suddenly stopped. I could hear the doc calmly explaining to the daughter what she did wrong, but in an instant she was screaming at him that she wanted to stop. It hadn't occurred to me until then that she had been playing the entire morning. This in mind, I couldn't help but listen in, just a little, over the sound of my pool vacuum. He started shouting and threatening to ground her, to take her dolls away. I caught something that I didn't quite understand. Something about her big Barbie, or something like that. When I began to hear the music again, I went to cleaning out the pool, trying to forget what I had just heard. I decided I'd be on the watch for this kind of thing in the future. I know parents snap at their children and all, but if this turned into abuse, someone was going to hear about it. Sometime thereafter, I was inside getting a drink, when I got a good look at a photo on the refrigerator I had never noticed before, showing the doctor, his daughter, and 2 other women, one in her 40s or 50s, and the other a teenager. Judging by the doc's youngest daughter, it looked fairly recent. I asked the maid about it, and in the best broken English she could give me, she said the older woman was the doctor's wife, the younger his older daughter. I hated to keep asking questions, given her difficulty speaking to me, but I pressed on just a little more to ask why I never saw them around. Now with difficulty, not only speaking but recalling, she told me the doctor's daughter was killed in a car crash a year ago. His wife killed herself shortly thereafter. This shocked and horrified me, and suddenly I couldn't help but feel a new sense of compassion for the doctor and his daughter. As soon as I was hydrated, I went back to work, wondering if I'd ever seen much sign of grief from the 2. Maybe that's why the doctor was so uptight about some things with his daughter. Maybe that's why she clung to her toys the way she did. I cleaned out bits of Barbie toys from the pool on what seemed like a weekly basis. It was a lot to take in. Time went on and my work continued. I had never imagined doing what I did as a year-round job. I used to live in the Midwest. Pools usually closed around Labor Day, but down here, they were open all the time, and the doc's kid and her friends just kept coming over. One day, doing my usual work, I noticed a large splotch at the bottom of the pool, for what must have been the 3rd time. I was irritated, and reluctantly accepted normal chlorine was going to do the trick. I had to shock the thing. Use a form of superchlorine, several times stronger than the average stuff. I checked the doc's notes, and they did indeed confirm that he had some of the stuff I needed. It was kept in the basement. Seemed like an odd place for it, but I digress. Maybe it was just to keep it out of his daughter's hands. Speaking of the doc's daughter, my eye caught her and a couple of her friends about to jump in the water. I had to shout at them to stop, and she threw a fit at me for doing so. I just figured the splotch in the pool would be a bacterial breeding ground. I was not letting little kids in it. I found my maid friend again, and now, frantic to make the pool clean for the boss's daughter, asked her where the basement was. She responded with a confused look. I tried several other phrases until she recognized the word cellar. She led me outside after I mentioned it, and pointed me to a dingy little trap door in the ground connected to the house, right next to the hose. I had never noticed it there before, and it was tightly bound with what appeared to be shiny new chains, very little dirt on them. I tried to ask her how I was supposed to open it, but we both lacked the vocabulary to communicate properly. I was about to bitterly accept defeat, leave the doc a note, and tell him to not worry about paying me that day, until his daughter walked up to me. She said she had a key to the cellar. I was confused by this right from the get-go, and even more so when she mentioned I couldn't tell her dad that she did. But I wanted to get back to work, so I agreed to her conditions. I was in the dimly lit cellar a few minutes later, and she shouted at me to not play with any of her toys. Why did she have toys down there? Was this where the doc kept her stuff when she was in trouble? Was that why she wasn't supposed to have the key? I fumbled around in the dark for a while, the light from outside only helping me so much, desperately looking for a light switch. As I continued to wander around, I ultimately felt myself pushing up against something. It felt like a wall, but there was no weight behind it. Not entirely sure what I was doing, I pushed against it, and suddenly toppled into another passage. Confused, disoriented, and growing increasingly frightened, I felt around for a switch again, and quickly found one on the wall. Despite the short time I had spent in the cellar, I was briefly blinded when I switched the thing on. But more so when I got a good look at the room. That was not just some dingy cellar I had walked into. The thing extended beneath the house, and was filled, to my shock and slight disturbance, with oversized pink and white furniture. My jaw was agape as I searched around, finding a fully functioning bathroom, den, everything. The rooms were much smaller than they had been upstairs, but they were still comparable to a decent hotel's. Why on earth did the doctor have all this down here? I wandered through just a little more, too shocked by what I had seen to turn back, when I came upon a bedroom. Of course, everything was still pink and huge, and this room even included a closet full of clothes. But the most notable feature present was what appeared to be a giant cardboard box sitting in the room's center. In sloppy handwriting, the box read, "My favorite Barbie." I didn't want to open the box. I swore at myself for dropping down and grabbing the bottom of the cardboard cube, my conscience screaming to put the damn thing down and find whatever I had come for. I couldn't even remember anymore. But I just had to know what all of this was for. I wish I'd never taken that job. I wish I'd never gone into that cellar. I wish I'd never opened that box. I screamed and scrambled away the instant I saw what I did. Standing before me, at almost my exact height, was a Barbie doll. I struggled to catch my breath as I stared at the thing. I was full of doubt Mattel had made anything like this, but the likeness was nearly perfect to the dolls I'd been seeing around the house. Her eyes were wide open and green. She had long blonde hair and bright pink lips, smiling. Still trying to take it in, I noticed the doll was naked. It had oversized breasts without any nipples, and that seemingly impossible figure that led down to a solid patch of skin where the pelvis was. Heart pounding, I noticed something along the doll's back. I slowly went behind it to take a look, seeing a large, bulbous thing sticking out of its back, almost like a button. Letting curiosity defeat me once again, I gently pressed it.
Help me!
The doll screamed in a shrill voice. I ran from it towards the door, not even so much shocked by the scream as what I had felt. I had touched flesh. No, I thought. That was impossible. This thing appeared to gleam like plastic a moment ago. That wasn't real. But as I continued to back away, my fears were confirmed. I could see the doll's chest expanding and contracting. The doll was breathing. The doll was real. My jaw was dropped, tears starting to well up in my eyes. This was not happening. What the hell was I even looking at? Struggling to accept all that was before me, I darted around the moment I could hear footsteps over my pounding heart. There was the doctor, just a few feet behind me, holding a syringe.
Well then,
He muttered.
I guess you found our playroom.
I gently slid a hand into my pocket as I screamed that he'd tell me what was going on. Ensuring he couldn't see, I managed to worm my cell phone out of my pocket. Without a hint of sadness or remorse in his voice, the doctor told his tale, chilling me to the bone, as I managed to trigger the video camera on my phone. The doctor told me that he desired the same thing any other parent does, to have the perfect child. He told me how though it all seemed to be going well with his older daughter, she started to rebel in her teenage years. Her grades started to slip in high school, and he caught her having sex on the living room couch. He was so overwhelmed by her misbehavior, he was ready to give up on her entirely. He told me he was convinced if he pampered his younger daughter, surely she would behave right. A Christmas before last, he asked her what she wanted. She said she wanted a big Barbie doll that could do anything she told it to, and that would play with her all the time. The doctor told me how he spent a month and a half planning what he'd do, planning how to pamper his younger and punish his older.
My wife found out at one point. All for the best, though. I was planning on bringing her some fat and collagen home from work, but I think she worked out much more smoothly.
He told me how he staged the disappearance of his daughter while he sedated and put her under the knife. He spent over a week getting everything just right before he surprised his younger daughter with the playmate she always wanted.
In exchange for being my perfect little angel.
My jaw was slack, too horrified of it all to move. Why was he going on and on? Was he bragging about his disgusting accomplishment? He talked and talked about how she'd been living off of juices and purees he made, how her eyes were glass and hand-painted, how he tried to just leave in the originals, but she cried too much, and her younger sister pointed out her toy didn't blink, and how she had little chips throughout her body that would give her a brutal shock if she used her vocal cords and you didn't press the button first.
What the hell is wrong with you? You are going to fry, you sick son of a bitch,
I shouted.
Well, of course I wouldn't tell you all of this if I was going to let you leave.
He said with a smile.
I've needed a matching Ken doll, you know.
I tried to swallow, but my mouth was too dry.
Now come here and take your medicine.
He was unexpectedly strong and managed to tackle me quickly, knocking the phone out of my hand. The needle came deathly close, but despite the momentary advantage, I had the weight edge to force him off of me and grab my phone. Much as I wanted to help the poor mutilated girl, I had to save myself first, running fast as I could out of the basement to my car. Fast as I've ever driven in my life. I pulled out of the doctor's driveway and slammed on the gas the moment I shifted into drive. About a minute later, I could hear the sound of a shotgun firing in the distance. I managed to make it back into town, cars everywhere, long before I saw anything of the doctor in my rear view. I pulled into the police station and flipped open my phone, searching out evidence to incarcerate the insane bastard, only to find that it had been destroyed when he tackled me. I had nothing to give the police but my testimony, and even in my head, I knew it was too crazy to be true. I drove to my parents' place that night. The house was empty. I, assuming they were gone on a date or something, searched around my dad's room and found his revolver. I don't remember much more of the night, and my girlfriend tells me I was extremely on edge, constantly looking out the window. 3 days after my horrifying discovery, armed and ready to pay the doctor back for his crime against humanity, When I arrived, however, the house was entirely abandoned. No sign of anyone anywhere. And when I checked the horrors of the cellar, the doll and this box were gone. While snooping and made a call to his office that night, the receptionist said that he left on a very short notice, with no real explanation. That was about a year ago. I've spent I don't know how many sleepless nights with what I'd experienced in this basement. I'm only mentioning this now because I found an article about a pool boy in southern Florida mysteriously disappearing. In the video attached, there were tearful testimonies from his family and his employer, speaking all the while with his daughter within audible range, bragging to her friends that she was getting a Ken doll for her favorite Barbie. Daughter from his family with what I'd experienced in this basement. I'm only mentioning this now because I found an article about a pool boy in southern Florida mysteriously disappearing. In the video attached, there were tearful testimonies from his family and his employer, speaking all the while with his daughter within audible range, bragging to her friends that she was getting a Ken doll for her favorite Barbie.
Hello?
Hello, Sam. Got any killer plans tonight?
Nothing you're invited to.
Well, you know how much I like to drop by unannounced, especially today. I can't wait to open you up like a...
Package!
Huh? Hang on.
Hang on? Really?
Just leave it at the door. I'm busy.
Oh, no. You have to sign for this one?
I don't have time for this.
Finally. Now where was I?
Hey, it's Mr. Freaky, and here are some disturbing details about popular fast food mascots that will give you nightmares. Number 1. Jack from Jack in the Box. There's something peculiar about fast food establishments who believe that customers desire mascots with enormous plastic heads. Consider the case of Jack Box. Ping Pong Head Bozo is the spokesperson for the fast food restaurant business, Jack in the Box. And although he might not seem all that unusual at first, delve a little deeper. Jack Box makes reference to his marriage to Cricket in both advertisements and tweets. Cricket, who sleeps with Jack, appears to be a regular woman. Unlike Jack, who has a ping pong ball for a head, Cricket and Jack have a child together, who also has a ping pong head. So this is not just a marriage for show. If Jack's head has been terribly deformed while he was frying potatoes or whatever, he might have been forced to wear the ping pong head out of humiliation. But he seems to be a very different species. The only issue is that in contrast to his father, Jack Jr.'s mother looks like a typical human female without a ping pong head, which is bizarre to say the least. Number 2. The King. In order to compete with McDonald's in the early 2000s, Burger King recruited a marketing company to design the Burger King, who was promptly derided by the public. Except for that strange occasion when he adopted Budweiser's "What's Up?", the King hardly ever talked, and it's likely that he couldn't even eat hamburgers, mostly due to the hard plastic head. He might skulk outside your bedroom window, creep into your bed without permission, escape from the cops, and then attack you, though. Yes, a Burger King commercial appeared to acknowledge that its mascot was an unstable maniac when he went berserk in an office before being restrained by staff from a mental hospital. That actually happened. In 2011, Alex Macedo, SVP of Burger King's marketing, stated that the king had largely retired. There are no immediate intentions to bring the king back. Sadly, however, they did bring him back in 2015, despite the fact that his appearances have massively decreased. Number 3. Grimace. While Ronald may be spooky, Grimace, the purple blob that travels with him, is much creepier. Who or what is Grimace? Just a limbless blob with eyes and a mouth? A fabled creature spawned from McDonald's guts? Although there may never be a whole solution to that question, we do know that Grimace used to be quite evil, and that children feared him. Grimace was a four-armed beast, with the intention of stealing every milkshake he could get his fat hands on, until he became the purple blob he is now. Grimace initially turned youngsters away from the fast food restaurant, rather than luring them in, according to Ron Burgle Jr., a former chief creative officer of McDonald's. Okay, so perhaps a purple blob with a milkshake addiction isn't the scariest thing ever, but do you really want to witness what Grimace is capable of when his milkshakes aren't forthcoming? Number 4. The Noid. Claymation was all the rage in the 1980s. From Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer music video to the California Raisins TV specials, and Domino's joined the trend with the Noid, before disaster occurred. The pizza-destroying miscreant had years of great popularity. Though video games and toys based on the Noid were produced, not everyone liked them, including Kenneth Noid, a 22-year-old. With a .357 Magnum handgun in his hand, Kenneth Noid entered an Atlanta Domino's in 1989, kidnapped 2 employees, and demanded $100,000 in ransom during a 5-hour standoff. Noid had schizophrenia, and thought the Noid was a representation of him, who had been created by the pizza restaurant. With titles like Domino's Hostages couldn't avoid the Noid this time, the media leapt on the subject. Sadly, Kenneth Noid spent 3 months in a mental hospital before committing suicide in 1995, because he was unable to let go of the thought that Domino's was behind an evil plot to ruin him. The Domino's mascot lost his job shortly after that. Number 5. The Hamburglar. When the Hamburglar first entered the public consciousness in 1971, he was far from the one-toothed idiot he is today. Following tradition, McDonald's made the Hamburglar in the beginning a scruffy-haired old man with a pointed nose, created by a marketing team to advertise McDonald's new play places. Yes, some brains decided that a spooky old man who resembled a villain from a Grimm's fairy tale would be a perfect way to advertise a playground. Hamburglar's garbled speech and borrowed jogger shirt further added to the confusion. Over time, the Hamburglar's appearance changed. He stopped wearing the borrowed jogging shirt, and he began using the catchphrase, "Robble Robble." The Hamburglar was considerably less noticeable by the early 2000s, until his return in 2015. McDonald's brought back the Hamburglar to advertise its sirloin third-pound burger. But this time, he was an adult male dressed in a trench coat and cargo pants, and he continues to steal hamburgers. Thanks, McDonald's, but he might be even more weird now. Number 6. Big Fig.
Whoever coined the phrase, the calm before the storm, has never survived 2 little ones. Our honest, calm lavender collection.
Then there is Big Fig, from the old Fig Newtons commercials. The weirdest fact about him, aside from the fact that he seems as though he's a naked middle-aged man dressed up as a fig, which he peddles to children, is the fact that if you were to assume he's an actual fig, then he is literally peddling cookies which contain fellow figs inside. Can you think of another mascot where they're literally selling themselves to you to be consumed? Maybe Bubbaloo's Barbecue, but those always weirded me out too. Let's just say I'm very glad this guy went away. Number 7. Ronald McDonald. Clowns aren't exactly delighting people much these days. With horror films like 2017's It and the strange epidemic of terrifying clown sightings in 2016, given this, Ronald McDonald, the company's red-haired pitchman, has had his visibility reduced by McDonald's. People have truly been alarmed by Ronald's persona for years. As an illustration, consider Ronald in his original form. Ronald was designed with a tray of food on his head, a paper cup nose, and a tray on his belt that continuously supplied burgers. In essence, he was a clown with magical abilities who dressed up in fast food trash. Yeah, that's not at all strange, I agree. Ronald's goal of getting kids addicted to McDonald's is what makes this so spooky. The character was invented specifically to encourage kids to pester their parents, until they gave them some Mickey D's. You'd think Ronald McDonald would be chowing on fries and McNuggets all the time, but that isn't the case. Let's review what happened. A spooky clown gets children to eat fast food, but never actually consumes any himself. So overall, the decision to retire Ronald from McDonald's is understandable. Lastly, number 8. The McDonald's Happy Meal mascot. McDonald's newest mascot was simply too bizarre